Yeah, it sounds better.
Sounds better.
Yeah.
I can turn it up.
Huh?
Is that too loud?
No, no, that's even better.
Can I just turn it on full blast then?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
That's on full blast.
Alright. That works.
And it's not too close to me either. Let me know if it comes off, so I hate holding the mic.
Okay.
Balance. So what's going on, man? What is going on?
Nothing much, just it's the middle of December as far as on a personal level, just finished up my Christmas shopping, so that's all taken care of. As far as in the wider world and news and all of that, you have the FCC repealing net neutrality, which I think is a great thing, and it's crazy how that battle has now targeted Martina in a smear campaign tied into Pizzagate of all things. So there's that, which has been on my mind because I've been,
What?
huh?
Pete, I've got to hear about that. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen or heard? Well, I guess we haven't really been.
We'll get into that in a bit. Yeah.
And then
The one that's dating Harry Potter.
yeah, yeah. My two favorite supervillains. And they even take little couple photos together that make them look like supervillains. They're like Bond villains. I love them both so much. But anyway, also Bitcoin is a topic of discussion right now, and I think Trump, besides just the net neutrality thing, he did a photo op where he was basically showing all the regulations and everything being cut. So he's unleashing the economy, basically. So everything, I think things are looking good. I did think it was interesting. I saw Paul Joseph Watson had a piece about those concrete barriers you see put up at events and everything, and how they don't work whatsoever, and in fact would just probably inflict more damage. I saw that. I thought that was interesting.
Well, yeah, it's just for show.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you left where I live. I mean, would you go to a Christmas market if there was just no sign of change?
Yeah.
It'd be empty.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, it's more of a psychological tactic than an actual security measure.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you want to start it? Should we get the simple stuff done?
Yeah, sure.
Right. I want to hear about this FCC. So I don't know much about it. So you can tell me.
Okay. I will be the first one to say I really don't know the nitty-gritty details of what's in these bills, but from what I've gathered, the net neutrality, as like most of these bills that have these warm, fuzzy titles, it sounds really happy, like Affordable Health Care Act. It's Orwellian, and it generally does the opposite of what's intended. So you got to look at the timeline of things. Net neutrality was passed in 2005, so we had a free and open internet from the start of it up until 2005. Personally, from my internet using experience, and I remember from dial-up to broadband and so on, I never had an issue. Never really an issue until, Napster started, and then there was the crackdown on illegal downloading, and that's the only time where it was ever a question of even conduct of what was going on the internet. So I generally didn't think there was a problem. Then this net neutrality stuff came along, and I hear a lot of what's in the bill is redundant to what's already in the Federal Trade Commissions. There's this hypothetical thrown out that companies are going to throttle some things and, let some things go faster than others. But some of them are already doing that. And honestly, what I've seen happen from net neutrality, and I've heard that this sort of provided the cover to do so, was basically, it's when all the censorship started. It's when you started seeing Twitter and all these other sites become politicized, because I guess it provided them some layer of cover to start doing all this stuff. So it basically made the internet unneutral, with people getting kicked off their domains and everything like that. So they repealed all of that and just basically internet back to 2015. And the FCC thing wanted to basically treat the internet like it's a utility, where it's like, they put the water pipes into your house, they put the electricity pipes into your house. Those aren't a constantly updating and changing and evolving technology at the rate that the internet is. I mean, even look at, Bitcoin, for example. It's like, something like that that's growing and changing, and you can't even really put your finger on what it really is at this point. You don't want that regulated like it's a utility. It just doesn't make sense. And the polling even shows it, where if you poll people and you ask them, do you think the internet should be regulated by the government like a utility, like your power, or, things like that, most people say no. But if you go to them and you say, hey, do you want net neutrality? They'll say yes, but it's because they don't know what they're agreeing to. So, that's my spiel on net neutrality.
I thought it was about, like, if you take Netflix, for example, that, I mean, when the internet for me started, I mean, I was in school, so you couldn't really even watch a video. It's like all pixelated, it wouldn't come through. Now you get streaming, now you get YouTube, then you've got HD, and now you're people talking about 4K. That, I mean, there's going to be an issue where if the 4K is going down the same line, that surely Netflix should pay for that. Because, I mean, I'm not using 4K, you're not using 4K. That must be ridiculous.
Here's the thing, though, that the throttling argument and everything, there's two different things I've sort of heard about it. I've heard people say there's nothing wrong with the idea of paying more for a premium service. For example, if you and me aren't using 4K, but someone does have 4K, if they want to pay an extra $10 a month so they're 4K,
Yeah, at the moment, I guess we are paying for that because you'll pay like a line rental.
Yeah. It basically would be like a premium service, like how you have cable, but you can pay for Showtime, HBO, and the premium channels. So I think it would just sort of be like that. Now, the other thing, though, I've heard is that, and I'm trying to remember, is that they can't do this because cell phone providers were already trying that, and it's already in the Federal Trade Commission that you can't really do that. You can't be discriminatory towards the data and everything like that, because I think some of them were like putting more data towards email than other programs, or they might still be doing that. But it's in the Federal Trade Commission. That's who already has laws on the books to address that. The problem with the FCC is all of the stuff that was in there is very vague, where it's like it can just be sort of loosely interpreted to mean whatever. It talks about, how there needs to be certain levels of conduct, but doesn't go into the details of what that conduct is. It makes it all open-ended, where the FTC already has stuff set in place to handle all of that and everything like that. It's why, think about it, when these people have been, like, everyone getting censored on YouTube and everything, it's why you haven't had an overnight kind of lawsuit pop up, because the laws for it are so, loosely interpretable that it's like it's not something they can just get to work on.
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, I really don't know too much about it, but there's two things I'll add to it, which is I thought there were two net neutralities. One was the Obama written up one, and that was all about the censorship, what you could put on your service provider, and if you didn't comply, like say you own Facebook and you didn't comply, you'd just get taken down. So, and then I thought Trump was bringing one in, which was different, which was more about what sort of bandwidth are you using, how's that going to get charged overall. I could be wrong, I thought there were two different ones.
I have heard that they are now there are people in the cabinet and stuff like that looking to put different rules in place. It's basically, the internet, I think it was called edge providers, basically, like Twitter, Facebook, Google, like the sites you go to, they were all very much for this net neutrality, and now what you have is the ISPs are getting together to kind of write up their bill to say, oh, well, let's put this in place. And it's basically like a war of power between the two groups. Your service providers, Time Warner, Optimum, Spectrum, whatever, and the main, websites, Twitter, Facebook, Google, so on and so forth. Both these groups want control of regulating the internet, though, and I don't think either should get it.
I mean, what about people? I mean, you hear Putin talking about it. That at some point, and it's not going to be too long, about people actually creating a completely it's a lot like Bitcoin, having a completely decentralized internet.
Yeah. I was just going to bring that up, like the idea of a BRICS internet. It's true. I wonder how it would work. I think it might just be like a matter of like not putting...
Bitcoin, I guess it would be a peer-to-peer network and it would be a blockchain.
Yeah, and you'd probably... accessing it would probably be as easy as using something other than like www dot. It would probably just be a different prefix and it would still use all the same browsers and everything like that. It's true, and that's the thing with deregulating. It's the only way to do that. That's why it's issues with Hillary. Here's the problem, is on one level I'm for all this deregulation and everything like that. But if we get to the point where, like you're saying, it's just some peer-to-peer deregulated network, everything like that, well then Hillary Clinton won't be at fault for having a private server like in the bathroom of her house or some shit. You know what I mean? Like. It's going to be a double-edged sword, where it's like, we could have it be that free and open, but when it's that free and open, it leaves it open to Hillary Clinton having her own...
I mean, surely, I could have covered that, but you would have thought they'd use a private network like Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have old people with computers. Who knows? Or they're hiring Middle Eastern con artists, like the Nwnn brothers.
How did that get linked back up to Harry Potter and Martina?
Alright, so, you had the FCC chairman go over to Daily Caller and do this little, little puff piece joke video, where it's like... 7 things you can still do after net neutrality is repealed. Now, the funny thing about the video is it's, like a very mocking take on pretty much everything people do use the internet for. Taking, pictures with puppies, Instagramming their salads, like all the stupid shit like that. And the last one on it is like ruining memes. So you remember the meme, the Harlem Shake thing, where it was like everything would be normal, then this song would play and there'd be like a party going on. So they like do one of those and Martina's in it dancing with him, like fist pumping for like 3 seconds, right? So everyone hated this video. They were all crapping on it as far as people being for net neutrality and mainstream media being like, the FCC chairman thinks, you're this stupid that this is going to appeal to you and, this, and that. And then when net neutrality passed, they end up taking, basically it turns into net neutrality must be bad because... a girl who once talked about pizza in a YouTube video is dancing next to the FCC chairman. Like, they found some video she did with Proud Boys where she is where she's talking about the cheese pizza being a code for online, child pornography and things like that, and not even talking about the DC Comet Ping Pong pizza place, or anything like that. Not getting into the conspiracy theory, just being like, there's this conspiracy going around, cheese pizza means this for child porn on the dark web, that's the truth of the matter, everything else is craziness. I mean, just basically pointing to it and saying, this exists over here, there's two truths, like two true statements. There is this conspiracy about pizza. People online know cheese pizza is a code for child porn on the dark web. Second true statement. But from that, they twist it into, she's propagating the debunked Pizzagate conspiracy theory that led to a shooter walking into the pizza place and, victims of online fake news, and just running with it. Now, the funny thing I picked up on is all of these websites, Gizmodo, Vanity Fair, BuzzFeed, like Washington Examiner, The Hill, all of them are running this piece, this narrative, copy-paste from one another. Because all of their money is fucking failing. BuzzFeed is doing horrible. Tim Pool did a really great video on this. All the layoffs in the media. They're all just copying and pasting this story. Last week, they ran a hit piece on Alex Jones saying, Alex Jones copies Russian propaganda. Alex Jones links to other websites on his website and just, he posts that it's from their page, but he takes articles from New York Times, The Hill, RT. They named every news site, even though the headline's just accusing him of propagating Russian propaganda. And, it's mind-boggling that these people can write an article like that about conspiracy theory propagating, copy-pasting material and everything like that. And then a week later, that's everything they're doing to Martina. They're just copying and pasting this buzzword babble nonsense. Like how you associate her with Pizzagate and try to make this conversation go, net neutrality is bad because the FCC chair danced for 3 seconds in a stupid video about a girl who talked about pizza. I mean, how does it get to this? It's so stupid on a level, and it's so crazy that they lie through their teeth. And as I'm talking to Martina about it, I'm like, I want to kill these people. I think they are too, but I feel bad for her. For her going through this, I mean, they're harassing her CEO, asking him for a comment, and it's just so warped and distorted. I do agree, on one level, they're making her a superstar. They are building her up to be, that's what I said, supervillain. I mean, if I was in her shoes, I would be reveling in it. But when you're her,
If you think about her name, Martina, if you put that into Google and just do the Martina MA, she's in the top 2.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing.
I think you've got Martina, there's loads of Martina MAs. I don't want to come off my head like Martinez. So, and that's a famous singer, and she's just underneath her.
Yeah.
Helped her out.
But the thing, on one level, yes, but on the other level,
I'm looking at it now.
but on the level where if you're not trying to be that and you're just trying to have a corporate job and kind of be low key and do your politics here, but not have it be, if you don't want to be a Milo, basically. That's what I'm saying though. I don't think she necessarily. But I don't think she necessarily wants to be someone who needs bodyguards and is getting death threats. You know what I mean? I think she wants to keep it more low-key in that fashion, where she doesn't want to be like a Milo or an Ann Coulter. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe she does at some point. But the getting death threats over fist bumping in a little video like this isn't cool, and I feel that's why they're doing it over this, because they realize she is a threat.
Well, internet.
Yeah.
I mean, are we taking his death threats seriously, or is it just that's the internet?
I have to say, when the FCC chair, when their meeting had to get paused over a bomb threat, and then the next day you're getting threats for being in a video with him, I would take it a little more serious than just the, Twitter death threat over a YouTube video. Because, that was a federal building that got a bomb threat called in. Someone's not playing around. So, I would.
Again, that I mean, I'm not even giving that any credit. What, they just phoned up and said there's a bomb.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, whoever did that is willing to spend 20 years in prison for some warped reason. I mean, that's what I'm saying as far as the severity of it. Like, they could be an empty threat, but it's still handled very severely. So, someone's committed to, fucking up their life over nothing.
Yeah, I reckon she could run with this and it'll end up in her favour. I really do.
I think she could too. But
yeah, especially if she starts doing some video reactions and doesn't take it too seriously and just takes it for what it is.
yeah.
That's the internet. I don't know Martina too well, but I don't think she is actually in danger. I imagine it's annoyance, and you have got some rather weird people, but I don't think they're actually going to do anything.
No, I mean, I don't think on a physical harm level she's in actual danger. I mean, not necessarily. Then again, you do see, Lauren Southern getting piss thrown on her, and it depends on the occasion, I feel like. But as far as her day-to-day commute to work, I think she may be alright. But the real problem is they're trying to damage her reputation. I mean, it's like here's the thing. I know she's not going to say this. Everyone gave Candace Owens flack when she said this is a organized disinfo campaign against me, as far as with her relaunch of Social Autopsy, whatever stuff. But I mean, even this looks like a organized disinfo campaign, just because they are all running with this lie. BuzzFeed even has the balls to admit they are lying. BuzzFeed admits in the article, it says, Martina wasn't talking about the DC pizza place. She was talking about the code for child porn. Then they go on for a little bit. Proud Boys is a white supremacist, blah, 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 blah. Guilt by association. There was a DC pizza place that people thought there was a conspiracy about, blah, blah, blah. Martina wasn't talking about either of that, and a guy was arrested on Craigslist for using child porn as a cheese pizza code, 8 months later. They vindicate that she knew what she was talking about, but they still run the headline, Pizzagate conspiracy promoter, propagator, whatever. And it's now at the point where it's like, even if you're in the news and you're just like, oh, this conspiracy is going around, if you just acknowledging it, they're trying to accuse people of propagating and endorsing, and it's this. I have such a hard time understanding what screw in the fucks these goddamn people's brains is missing, where they can make this accusation. Paul, I have a physical governor where it's like, I can't do that to someone because I wouldn't want it done to me, but I know they would do it to me. I think about the videos, thank God I don't want to go mainstream, because otherwise, you're going to have Jamie thinks there's a firmament. Jamie, therefore, blah, blah, blah. Jamie thinks the Pizzagate, there was an Instagram picture of a museum showing child pornography. They could dig through so much shit, and I welcome them to. I'll fuck these people. But it's like, the way that they warp this shit, the way they warp it is I couldn't bring myself to be that disingenuous and just manipulative.
I think what's really going on is we're all red-blooded males here. When Martina slaps on some makeup and gets dressed up, she's really pretty. She's really hot. She's like a model level hot when she does it. So a lot of it's just going to be jealous, fat feminists.
But a lot of these articles though are also coming from soy boys in the tech world.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of jealousy is going to be wrapped around, because anyone who's that hot and who's that.
Well, and you're right, because here's.
She is pretty. She's a smart chick.
Well, here's the other thing they scoff at is there were a handful of older videos that she took down because she said, she had doing more professional stuff, so she didn't want to have it, out there with her YouTube and everything. So, Well, this was one of those videos that she took it down because she didn't feel it was professional enough and everything. But they're using that as a, oh, because, we can't see the video, you must be lying, when there's no evidence. That's an admission of guilt. Because I have nothing to go with, you must be guilty. And it's like, I think that's what they're really pissed about. They're jealous because they see someone who has gotten to this position strictly out of them attacking, so they just attack more because they all went to 4 years of school and are miserable with their lives and, everything like that. I think it really is a jealousy thing. And I think with the tech boys and the nerds, there's a sexism part too. I think it's that they're pissed because they think that the Salon hit piece had it blatantly said. They think the only reason she is where she is because she's gorgeous.
It plays a part.
It does, but it's not like she...
I'll put my hand up. I'm jealous of Martina.
I mean, I think there's also... But there's a part of her personality where it's like, when you see her doing things like going down to "He Will Not Divide Us," and she plays a cultural role that I feel like is bigger than just being beautiful. Like it's a factor to it. It helps, but it
doesn't help when you're up against feminists, soy boys, and people that are just scared of people being feminine.
Yeah.
It's just not allowed. You're not allowed to be a hot woman anymore. And not only that, but she's got some brains. And
yeah. And she's ballsy. That's the other thing. She's not just, smart and beautiful, she's brave. And that's the kind of bigger thing, and that's why they attack her over and over, because they know they don't have the balls to do what she's doing.
The thing is, if I was going to attack her, I'd be thinking, like, if I actually wanted to attack her, I'd be thinking, right, who's in my gang? I've got soy boys, great, what else are they going to do? Who does Martina going to hang around with when she goes to these events? They're going to be hardcore guys.
Yeah.
People probably don't want to... You can just tell that she's well connected as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, of course, that with the smears, like I said, trying to associate Proud Boys back into it and be like, oh, they're white supremacists, Daily Caller's full of white supremacists. I mean, it is crazy social justice warriors, but it's not cool when you see, like, Vanity Fair and articles like that just running with the nonsense.
Vanity Fair?
Yeah, they republish the FCC Pizzagator promoter. Like I said, every news site ran with this.
Get me an autograph.
Right?
Yeah, she's doing much. I would admit, like, if I wasn't in this gang that I'm in, I'd probably be jealous of her. I can see it. I'm not justifying it, but I can see it.
Oh, I am. I have no problem admitting that. I definitely wish I was in her position right now. I would be, but again, that's the thing with me. I want to be a supervillain. I'll relish in it. Like, but I've even challenged some of these people. I've gone to some of them and I've said, why are you picking on her when I'm right here? I've interviewed her and I have the views you want. Like, you find my Pizzagate videos. I don't care. It was a conspiracy that was floating around the internet. It was a topic in the news, and the problem is that it all just gets thrown. This is a problem, and I've been trying to use the mic. The Mike Cernovich. I feel like I'm trying to do. What would Mike Cernovich do in this? And I think where it's like when these people are throwing out the baby with the bathwater and saying we can't talk about cheese pizza being a code for child porn because people who believe this conspiracy theory point to that as a reason to believe in it. Therefore, we have to get rid of both of them. What you're doing is providing cover and protecting pedophiles. And I think that should be the accusation thrown at all of these people running this smear campaign. They're not just attacking Martina, they're protecting pedophiles because they're not trying to make the distinction between the two, and they are trying to show anyone that does make this distinction, we're going to go after you, and we're going to say you're saying something you aren't, because we don't want people to know cheese pizza means child porn, or we don't even want them to think it's safe to utter that, or we're going to go after you with a smear campaign. That's what all they're doing. They're providing cover for pedophiles, and I think that should be the accusation attached to all of them. Pedophile protecting Tom McKay over at Gizmodo. Trust me, I've been trying to dig into these people. It's just hard when some of them are tech writers and all they do is write about nerd shit, and then because the FCC chairman stood next to Martina, now they think they have an excuse to fucking attack a woman. Fuck them. They're all protecting pedophiles.
Harry Potter should defend her better. That's what I'm saying.
Huh? Wizard magic?
Yeah, get on your broomstick. I gotta stop calling him Harry Potter, but I'm sure it's got a British humour, you won't mind.
I mean, again, you know, the thing is like, Martina, like, she's issued a statement and asked for retractions and things like that, and her and Jack are trying to handle it like professionals, and that's one of the things she said. That's why I'm on Twitter telling people I'll whoop your ass, because their hands are tied. So I'm here to throw threats. I'm here to buck up.
The best thing she should do, the best advice I can give, and this is serious advice, is if you are taking this threat seriously, and it's up to you if you do, you have to go public immediately. If you are going to take it seriously, there's no point 100% public, and you need to just do a video just showing who made the threat, what the threat is. And if you look at Martina's Twitter page, you've got to be psychotic to do that, because she's linked to some of the biggest freelance journalists on the planet.
And now she has Mike Cernovich and everyone else retweeting her. Yeah. Now she's just more of a name, more aware. Everyone sees how it and more
protected.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah, I want to repeat again. If you are taking this threat seriously, it's up to you. You probably should. I think the best thing you can do is name who these people are on a video, show who they are, and just let the internet decide what to do.
Yeah. Dox them. That's what I say.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Why not just do a video reaction to the comment?
Yeah. I wonder if Caller has her on any sort of, you know, if you're doing videos for us, here are the guidelines for your videos. That's a great
reply to Vanity Fair that's supposed to be a responsible agency, and Martina's not responsible. Go, well, thanks for your responsible journalism.
Well, that's something,
and it's your fault.
That's something she did.
Partly your fault.
That's something she did mention to me, is that, you know, it's like the having a Daily Caller has standards in place where they wouldn't be allowed to run with half of what these places are running. Like I said, they're copy pasting the article from one another. Some of them are just citing each other and things like that. Again, doing the very thing a week prior they were accusing Alex Jones of being a Russian propagandizer or whatever for. I mean, they're doing the exact same shit, and it's propaganda, and it's like, it looks like a organized smear campaign, but it's really just the desperate death throes of the dying media being bankrupt and fighting for clicks, and, you know...
Yeah, but Martina's going to win that, because if you click on her Twitter, she's got good followers. Let's say she did do that video. If just one of those people retweet it, look at who's following them.
Yeah.
You got a second link straight to Alex Jones, straight to some big fucking names.
Yeah.
Like, whoever's picking on them are absolutely insane. Like, if you're gonna pick on someone, you go for an easy target. Like, she is not an easy target.
Yeah.
She's a tough little girl.
And it's...
I wouldn't mess with her. Even if I was against her, I just wouldn't do it, because she's too well... Just look at her profile. She's just too well connected.
Well, and that's why... I feel like that's also why they had to go kind of left field with it, because for whatever reason, even though no one died or anything like that, there are these sort of... I guess they would be red herrings, where, like, you know, Sandy Hook... Pizzagate, 9/11, like the late climate denier, the labels they try to slap onto people. I mean, it's like, it's
She's
just
even got a little blue tick.
yeah, she is. She's verified now.
Got a little blue tick. Oh, look at you. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, they probably helped her out. And I reckon if you ask Lauren Suffin about the urine incident, she'll probably go, it actually helped me out.
You know,
A bit of urine, it got me like all this attention. I got all these followers I wouldn't have. And it just shows that these people are assholes.
yeah.
Just proves my point.
But you know, the other thing though is for some reason, and this happened when, you know, Jack and Martina tried doing the researcher thing for when they were getting the FBI and all of them preventing him from coming to the country. For some reason, conservative media in the past has been reluctant to really get behind them and have their backs. Like the Blaze has had Jack's back, and you know, now Rebel he's working with, and Tommy Robinson.
So obsessed. How did it all start? Because how are they so obsessed with this video? And I don't know who this guy is who's in the video.
Again, the video is just a joke thing, but I feel like that's another thing that they hate is they look at us having fun. They hate that we're having fun, and they're over here talking about the internet's going to end. Like, everything is this end of the world, everyone's gonna die if they even do anything. You know, it's like, it's all so severe to them. So when they see the head of the FCC having fun, let alone having fun next to a pretty girl who, you know, they think is just getting ahead in life because she's pretty or whatever, like, and it's just like, that was just the closest thing they could find to try to have something as dumb as net neutrality, Martina Markota, FCC, Pizzagate. And that's all you need to know, because like I said, the takeaway from the articles is repealing net neutrality must be bad because the head of the FCC danced next to someone who did a YouTube video mentioning pizza. I mean, that's the takeaway. And it's like, okay, so net neutrality obviously must not be a big deal at all if that's where this has gone.
I know they probably won't. They're going to hate me for saying this, but this, to me, all goes back to the BNP. I'm sure this is like a proper group, like maybe a government group, troll group, and it goes all the way back to the BNP.
Well,
I think anyone who ends up, I'm sorry, Jack, but anyone who's on that list, that's a serious list.
I was gonna say, you know, there were a
I'm not
lot.
saying it's wrong or right to be associated with it, or even de-announcing it as much as you want. It's like you're on the terror watch list, a terror watch list.
Well, I was going to say,
and it's not like your usual terror watch list. These are like crazy people.
I was going to say the on Twitter, a lot of the accounts I see hitting her up are like little egg accounts, zero followers. Like they were opened like a month ago.
You don't understand how deep this is because now Jack's sort of gone away from that and into the UK. I don't know if it's UK independence as such, but it's the same sort of drift. So again, you're on another list. If you're talking about Brexit and you're getting any kind of audience, bang, you're on the next list. So I mean, Jack is just on list after fucking list.
Yeah.
And also remember, I mean, she got close to Obama's daughter as well, didn't she?
Yeah, when she was with Lucian.
So she's going to be picked up. I don't know if she got picked up there. Lucky she didn't take any photos. Fucking hell.
There was the one. The club manager is like a picture of Malia's shoulder, and the club manager or something told them they had to delete it, and I don't think they did.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the guy that took the picture. But I do. I think you're right. I think and that's why I feel like this article was like,
I can't do justice how big the BNP is for being like the public enemy number one in the UK. It's public enemy number one, way above ISIS.
Well, and you got to think.
And there's not many of them. There's not many BNP people that you could name. Unfortunately, Jack Buckby is going to be one of them.
Well, and think about this too.
And it's going to be used over and over and over. He's got to adopt the Harry Potter. That's the best way to lose it.
The video they're all talking about, she had hidden for months, like, and And it's just, it's so crazy to think, because I've seen people reposting clips of it. So it's like people have been hanging on to this. This has been in the back pocket, I feel like. And
it won't go.
they just waited for her to, here's something where she's going viral. Let's pull this card that we've had sitting on where we
they'll just
hit her with
do,
the Pizzagate
safe
smear.
Google searches, and then each time Martina Markota, we know what her name is. Each time it comes up, they'll get an automatic notification. They're probably trolling her like that. Like anything she does.
Yeah.
Bing notification, bing notification. Yeah, I think it's great. You got a little fan club there.
Yeah. I think,
well.
I mean, comes with territory.
I'm joining the hate club. I'm jealous. I've seen that.
Yeah, I kind of am too, but I mean, I think, I still think it's really fucking, it's pathetic. I mean, it's really sad that these people just, they've.
No, it's to be expected, isn't it?
It is, but it's.
She knew. She knew this was coming. She's loving it.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think the thing that's bad is she doesn't like when people are harassing her job over it. That's where the line is drawn.
Yeah, but I bet she's a smart girl. I bet she mentioned it to her boss, going, "Oh, hey, you should know this."
No, the boss was getting called for comment before anything had been published. Yeah.
He should make a really evil comment. I'd encourage him if I was the boss. I'd go, right, say that I bully everyone in the office, and I just can't handle it.
Well, you know, and that's the thing, when
post-traumatic stress disorder working with that, she's awful.
But I think it might end up, you know, kind of like.
And she makes a shit cup of tea. Her tea is shit.
Remember when
and she turns up late? When she's here, she's not doing any work. She's just doing her nails and her makeup. And she's not doing that. She's on Twitter, or she's shopping online. So there you go. Run with that, Vanity Fair.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the thing is though is like Daily Caller, I think they're, you know, they're not thinking of it personally. They think of it mathematically, where it's going to end up like you know, when Milo left Breitbart, him or Bannon, one of the two, or maybe both of them, made the comment that like Breitbart was never supposed to be a platform to launch a cultural icon. And it's like, I do think, you know, and this is completely on Martina and what she wants to do and her motives and everything like that. I think these are the moments where what you do next decides if you become a cultural icon or not. And that's the thing. It's like, do you want to try to be just doing videos at Caller and everything and try to keep it kind of low key and not need, you know, not be Pamela Geller basically, or do you want to be Pamela Geller or Milo? And
she is the female Milo.
In a lot of ways, because of the art stuff.
She's gonna cause a riot. It's my prediction.
Yeah.
Martina riot.
If she tried to speak anywhere, it probably would be.
Yeah, but it's just a bunch of soy boys. For fuck's sake.
Soy boys and lesbians, one and the same.
Yeah.
Too much estrogen. All right. Well, let's go on to another topic.
Yeah, why haven't I been paid this year? I ain't had anything, not a bean.
That's because of the adpocalypse.
Oh yeah. Keep hearing the money's in a pot. Where's the fucking pot, Jamie? Where is it? I've got bills to pay. What am I supposed to say? Oh, the money's in a pot.
I've been investing it in Bitcoin.
Yeah, we'll get to Bitcoin in a bit, because I wanted to do 2 more Israel. Then this has been fucking me. I've never looked into it before. But I've had email after email about the Mandela effect, and I'll talk to you about that later. But yeah, Israel, it's been big. You go first.
Well,
you're not going to get too many letters from this.
I know that
this will help Martina's career even more.
You had Trump come out and endorse, or not endorse, basically declare, like every other president, that Jerusalem will be the capital and we're going to move an embassy there and everything like that. And now of course Trump is responsible for Hamas and everything like that. I mean, that's, even the other thing where I was saying, as far as the attacks on Martina, and I don't know how these people think like this, it's this Trump derangement syndrome where these people think they have carte blanche to do whatever they want, and they just rationalize it by saying, this is a normal reaction for me being in Trump's America. Like, it's just, whatever. So, yeah, now every ISIS attack is Trump's fault because he aggravated the peaceful Muslims.
Well, I mean, what's your feelings on Israel? Because it depends who you are. Some people actually want it destroyed. It seems like a lot of people just want to see Israel blown up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is. I was watching, actually, I woke up, I had my YouTube playing overnight, and at one point I woke up to like some anti-Israel documentary where it's, Nelson Mandela calling it an apartheid and bashing Jews and everything like that. And I don't know. I think the whole founding of Israel, there's a lot of conspiracy there, and there's.
What do you think's going on there?
Shall I
go first?
Well, I've also seen videos that talk about, how like, there's this guy on YouTube, I think it's like Jason A or something. He did a really good video on Israel and how the economy is now booming. Like, basically all sorts of Bible prophecy stuff, like Israel going from a barren desert to now being a top global agricultural exporter. Like, all sorts of, all the Jews, because they're smart, as the Muslims were being imported into Europe, they all left and went back to Israel, so there's more people coming in now. Like, there's all sorts of weird Bible prophecy stuff kind of getting fulfilled in weird ways. So what's your take on it?
Well, I'm going to rant quite a bit, and I don't know shit about Israel, I really don't know too much. But I don't get this idea that Israel was just created because of World War II. Because it's documented in the Bible over and over and over and over again. Believe in the Bible or don't believe in the Bible, fair enough. But it is documented. I think you can say that there is some historical fact to the Bible. There are also, like, King David seems to be a real thing, and he seems to have been king of Jerusalem.
Yeah, there's lots of historical
references to the Jews. Not necessarily Jews, I think Judeo-Christian, that it's just their land. And what land do Jews ever claim in the whole world? Seriously, what land are they claiming? This tiny, I mean, how big is it? On the whole planet. What's the big deal?
Yeah, and the Muslims want everywhere else.
Well, what's going to happen when let's say the Muslims do get it? What are they going to do to it?
Well, if you listen to some of the people in charge of, the Palestinian whatevers, they want to kill all the Jews.
They're going to rip down anything historic there. All these ancient buildings we've got, they're just going to rip them down.
Yeah.
And they're going to kill the Jews. And then I think if the Jews give up Jerusalem, I just think Tel Aviv will be next. I just think that it just won't stop.
No, it won't.
I don't understand why the Palestinians want Jerusalem so badly.
I don't either.
And I think the Jews, I'm not historically accurate, but I think the Jews have given the Muslims areas before, and it hasn't turned out well. Like, the Jews there are no-go areas for Jews in Israel. But I don't think there's really so much the other way around. Also, I don't know how true is this, but it looks like Palestine, I'm not saying Israel's like an angel, but it looks like at least they're willing to negotiate on some level. But it looks like the Palestinians' level of negotiation is, we're going to wipe you off the fucking planet. Then that's it. And it's like, well, how are you going to negotiate with that? And like, when you see, I mean, maybe I feel this way because of what I'm seeing in Europe. But maybe Israel's just way, way ahead of what Europe is going to be if we're not careful.
Yeah. No,
What,
I think
why
it is,
do
and that's why I get really confused when I hear these, the conspiracies that, I mean, or maybe it is just to build it up into what it's being built into, but it's like, it's so cruel to do into your own people, but like, when you hear like Steve Pachinek be like,
But aren't Palestinians often doing it themselves, cutting the water off, cutting the supplies off? Aren't they also doing that? And don't they use their own people for body shields? I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
Israel have not committed war crimes. Of course they have.
no, but I'm saying the idea that Israel props up ISIS, and even when, remember Obama, when he would use the term ISIL, the difference between ISIL and ISIS is
Israel's secrets.
the idea of Islam invading the Levant. It's like there's an area of Israel that's included in the L of ISIL. So like when Obama would be saying ISIL, it was like a jab at Israel each time.
This is what happened when we took Gaddafi out and we took out Assad. What happened?
Chaos.
Yeah, so maybe Israel is the madman at least it's something keeping that shit stable. Maybe it is, and they are, whether we like it or
But
not,
here's the thing then. But this is what I'm saying.
Good allies with the Americans and the
But
British.
then what do you make of the conspiracies that Israel wanted them to take out Gaddafi for it to cause chaos? I mean, there's conspiracies going around that basically Israel's disabling everywhere around it. Like, I can't figure out the end game for that.
I think we're confusing two things. I think we're confusing Israel with a Judeo-Christian group of people wanting Jerusalem to survive. And I think, like me and all the Jews in Israel, they've had enough of their government. They've had enough of Benjamin Netanyahu. They've had enough of George Soros. And if you see anyone protesting against that more than anybody, it's Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
I see them all the time going crazy about it, going, hey, we've got to stop treating Palestinians like this. We've got to look...
Well, I'm saying Israel on the globalist sense, like, I don't understand their end game of trying to destabilize the whole area and build up a threat towards itself. I mean, I guess if maybe the U.S. has done it, but...
You've also got Saudi Arabia going through this coup in a similar kind of way. So you might think that maybe there's an alliance being built up there between Saudi Arabia and Israel.
Yeah.
And probably start a war with Iran.
Maybe.
Because I think there's a difference between saying, hey, I'm pro-Israel, and saying, hey, I'm really worried that if the Jews don't have that area, things could get bad, could get a lot worse. Because Israel, whether you like it or not, they've got nuclear capability.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Nukes are not going anywhere. Are they? They're
No.
not going anywhere. And how big of a land is it that it becomes such it's always Alex Jones as a Jew scientist. It's like the biggest conspiracy. It's like, why so much attention on this tiny, tiny bit of fucking land? Like, I know it's a problem and it's a big deal, but out of all the world problems we've got, it's not in the top 10,000.
I've never understood it either. And I think it's funny then when you have mainstream media try to run the simultaneous smear that someone is, an alt-right anti-Semite and a race realist, because most race realists realize that Jews have very high IQs, and that's why they do very well. Like, a lot of it isn't a conspiracy. It's just them being smart and them doing what they're culturally always been doing, pretty much. Like, there's no mystery to it. It's not a conspiracy. It's very apparently obvious. So I don't get it. My friend Cans.
Go deep into conspiracy, like deep. Right. This is crazy, but. Why do we have Jews in the first place?
What do you mean? Why do we have them?
Why did Jews come about in the first place?
Well, I mean, there's the biblical explanation of them being
why did they come about?
God's chosen people and all
why?
that. I don't know why.
I'm going to take a guess. I could be talking total shit, okay? But what was going on before the Jews were about?
Well, you basically had an uncivilized culture. I mean, that's...
Babylon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was child sacrifice. It was crazy town.
Yeah.
So what were the Jews? Probably the first people. They were probably the first people to stand up against it.
Yeah, and be, I mean, even some of the stuff, like, I dated a girl who, her family was Jewish, and they had a kosher kitchen and everything like that, and I was like, why do you do this? Like, what's the reason? She's like, well, it's mostly traditions kept from when, like, people didn't know how to store meat properly, and, you know, things like that. And it's like, yeah, it's just rules that, you know, like the Jewish culture is just like, there's parts that have been adopted into the culture that were simply just rules for survival and being civilized back then.
Yeah,
like,
and I think they weren't perfect. This is the first step humanity took.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that quest, and it wasn't that great. I mean, Jews aren't. No one's perfect. And then Christianity came along, which is like a Judaism 2.0.
Yeah.
And then that obviously got reformed again in like the 1600s. So maybe the Jews are actually the legit people standing up against, like, this where it gets deep, against Luciferianism. And as you see the rise of Luciferianism, the first people they're going to want to wipe out are the original
resistance. Yeah. I could see that.
And the other thing that makes me think that is when you just go on mainstream media, like mainstream social media, like the BBC, Channel 4, you can say fuck the Jews all day long. All day long. Good luck saying fuck Islam. Good luck.
See, I have to say, American media isn't as much like that. I feel like they let certain people badmouth.
Have a legit right to be terrified in Europe.
Oh yeah, and that's why they've a lot of them have left and gone back to Israel. Or
Right,
not,
so if they didn't have Israel, where the fuck else are they really meant to go?
where would they go?
Because
Yeah.
Let's be honest, how much hatred is aimed towards Jewish people?
A lot.
A lot. Right, so where, and would you get away with just saying stuff about black people?
Not at all.
Right, so where the fuck are they supposed to go? I mean, the Muslims have got Mecca. That's their holy ground.
Yeah. No,
Or
it's true.
I
do think, no, I think, and even, you know,
honestly, I'm becoming more and more Jewish every day.
Ben Shapiro actually tweeted out something recently, or maybe it was an old tweet people were digging up to try to smear him with, but he basically said where he was like, you know, people protest Zionism, and then Zionism becomes an excuse to protest Israel, and when you protest Israel, you end up then protesting all of the Jewish people that seek it as a home and a safe haven from all of these attacks. And like he basically said that the Zionism thing just sort of becomes an excuse to hate Jews, because it's true, you know, every organized government or religion or anything like that can always have a corrupt person or a handful of corrupt people in there, and it can go, you know, wrong. But the hatred towards political Zionism and Jews, it is synonymous. It's definitely not how you have, you know, hatred towards America and the corruption be. I mean, those are very distinctly different. You have people that love America and hate the corruption, and it doesn't conflate the same way Zionism and Judaism does.
I would hate to think that if we had a European Union and some guy just for I mean, it never happened, but they said, right, let's just round up all the Jews and kill them, let's put it to a vote. I wouldn't be surprised that vote went through.
That reminds me, did you see I think there was a Dutch video that came out this week where it was...
The autistic kid.
Yeah. With them, like, guilting the autistic kid about how much he costs them and everything. That's...
Yeah, and it's just cruel because the kid thinks they're his friends.
Yeah. And they're basically just like, you cost us too much, we should kill him.
That's too much money. And they're like taking a piss on going, oh, you're so special, you cost so much money. It's going, yeah. Anyway, it's like, we're going to kill you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's disgusting. So what are we saying on Israel? Like, are we all just like shills, or... And let's face it, like, I mean, what is the alternative? You're going to let Islam run it? Are we just like, I mean, seriously, like...
I mean,
Is that what was... Because like we are the minority sense. I can't believe you agree with me.
What, me?
If I say anything remotely pro-Israel, that's it. And I'm not even pro-Israel. That's the thing. I don't even.
I mean,
like
I think it's bad when I'm
But if you're
working at my job and I'm overhearing Jewish students at a local liberal college talk about how afraid they are for people to know that they're Jewish because the
Yeah,
school
I'm
has
scared.
such fervor of, let's ban Israeli products, boycott,
Yeah.
divestment, whatever, pro-Palestine.
Oh,
Yeah,
mate,
like,
no offense, Jamie. America are bigger cunts, and no one's boycotting them. No
yeah,
one's boycotting America. America are bigger bully boys. So are the British. No one's boycotting British products.
no.
We've blown the shit out of Iraq, for fuck's sake. Blew the shit out of Iraq. Blew the shit out of Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Somalia. I mean, the list is fucking endless of the shit we've done.
Yeah,
Where's the boycott? Where is it?
yeah.
Where's the why?
And I mean, that's how I know it's gone too far, though. When I hear, kids in New York talking about
It's
how...
actually got nothing to do with morality. It's to do with hating Jews.
Yeah.
I agree with these people.
Yeah, no, it's true.
If you put it in context, you'd be going, "Oh, fuck America."
Yeah. I mean,
No one's doing that.
well, they do in different conversations. They
Yeah.
do in the America is systemically racist and oppressive towards people of color and minorities. I'll tell you, I even hate that fucking term, people of color. That's how you know it's French postmodernists that have like destroyed everything, because people of color is not proper English. It's like Spanish, Latin, how you say the color of something after the noun as opposed to before when you would in English. But no one realizes anything about what they're talking about at all. I didn't mention, because we haven't talked in a few weeks. That reminds me, Steven Crowder did a video, the Change My Mind series, where he sits down and has a conversation with people about gender and there only being two of them. And I'm not surprised, but it's like everyone he talked to, when he started bringing up gender theory and the fact that this is a new idea and everything, none of them have the slightest clue that it's a theory, that it has, people who formalize these ideas. They're not taught this stuff objectively. They are being taught theories as if they are reality. And that's the difference between education and indoctrination. Like, these kids they're being taught Marxism and not being told it's Marxist philosophy. They're being taught critical theory and not knowing who Herbert Marcuse is. Like, it's bad.
Right. It's up